In the tumultuous world of weaponry, tanks have always been a symbol of power and military superiority. From World War I to the present day, they have played a decisive role in the fate of wars. Among them, the T-90 tank, as a product of the Russian defense industry, has always been a subject of attention and discussion. But is this tank really the invincible monster that its advertisements portray? Or is it simply another armored vehicle that has been overhyped? One of the noteworthy points about the T-90 tank is its production date. This tank is in fact a product of the post-Soviet era, with its first prototypes being produced in the early 1990s. In other words, the T-90 is not a completely new tank, but rather an updated version of the T-72 tank, which was built in the 1970s and 1980s. This indicates that the T-90 is more of an effort to improve and upgrade an older platform than a technological leap. Therefore, it cannot be compared with the new generation of Western tanks designed and built with completely modern technologies. Now, the question that arises is why the T-90 tank, despite extensive advertising, has not had a significant presence in the war in Ukraine. While many images and videos of the destruction of Russian T-72 and T-80 tanks have been released in this war, the number of destroyed T-90s has been much lower. Several reasons can be cited for this. One possible reason is the limited number of T-90 tanks in the Russian army. This tank, due to its higher production cost compared to the T-72, has been produced in smaller numbers and is mostly used in elite and special armored units. Therefore, Russian military commanders have probably preferred not to use these tanks in the front lines and heavy battles and keep them for more critical situations. Another reason could be related to political and propaganda considerations. The destruction of a large number of T-90 tanks, which are known as one of Russia's most advanced tanks, could deal a severe blow to the image and credibility of the country's defense industry. Therefore, efforts have probably been made to prevent the widespread presence of these tanks in battle scenes where they are likely to be damaged. Now, let's get to the main point, which is what truly makes a tank, its weaponry. The T-90 tank is equipped with a 125mm smoothbore unrifled 2A46M gun. This gun is in fact the same gun that is also mounted on T-72 and T-80 tanks and is nothing new. Although some optimizations have been made to it, it is essentially the same. It's like putting a new suit on an old model. This gun can fire various types of ammunition, including armor-piercing fin-stabilized discarding sabot APFSDS rounds, high-explosive anti-tank heat rounds, and high-explosive fragmentation HEFRAG rounds. Now, these may sound very complicated, but let's simplify them. PFSDS rounds are used to destroy other tanks and hit the enemy tank's armor at very high speeds, penetrating it. Heat rounds are also used to destroy armored targets and fortifications, sending a hot and powerful jet towards the target upon detonation. HEFRAG rounds are used to destroy personnel and light vehicles, spreading many fragments around upon explosion. An important point here is that despite the variety of ammunition, the T-90's gun, compared to the guns of modern Western tanks, such as the 120mm Rheinmetall gun mounted on the Leopard 2 tank, doesn't offer anything significantly new. Western guns have greater accuracy and range and can fire more advanced rounds, such as longer rod kinetic energy penetrators which have greater penetration power. With all the reviews we have done, we conclude that the T-90 tank, with all the advertising and hype that has been created for it, is more like a large balloon that only its appearance is deceptive. In fact, this tank is not a revolution in the field of tank manufacturing, but rather a kind of patchwork on an old and obsolete platform. Its gun is the same old T-72 gun, its fire control system is not up to modern standards, and its armor does not seem very resistant against modern threats. As we saw in the war in Ukraine, it did not have a significant presence and was more like a spectator than a key player. In short, it can be said that the T-90, more than being a modern and advanced tank, is a kind of nostalgia from the Cold War era and the Russian tanks of that time. It's like painting and polishing an old car and presenting it as a new model. In today's world, where tanks like the Leopard 2, Abrams, and Challenger 2 exist with much more advanced technologies, the T-90 doesn't have much to offer. As they say, the era of these tanks has passed, and they should be put in a museum. Now that you have been with us so far and have seen this thorough and ruthless review, we ask you to support us and watch more videos about the fascinating and sometimes funny world of weaponry. Be sure to subscribe to the Military Weapons 365 channel and like this video. By doing this, you motivate us to produce more videos in the same style and reveal the secrets of the world of weapons. So don't forget, subscribe and like.